All right, guys, thanks. We're back. We're going to talk about our final thoughts in a second, but real quick, I wanted to congratulate my good friend Phil Heath on his new line of supplements from Phil Heath Labs. I got to say, I cheated and I got an advance sneak preview from him back at the Arnold. He brought some with him and we were training, doing some filming for him. I have an advanced bottle of their fat burner, which is phenomenal. Their pre-workout is amazing. Their intra-workout is cool. I know we just had a little commercial on our YouTube and hopefully a podcast we got that into. But congrats to him. I know it's available on Amazon right now as you guys are listening to this. So it's Phil Heath Labs. Check it out, and we will just be talking about that in the future. Hopefully we're going to get Phil on here as well. But congrats to him. And honestly, this is not just because I'm friends with him. I do believe this supplement line is like, it takes me back to the old school days. Okay. Like that first time you take a pre-workout and something, get a real pump. Now everything's all about,
caffeine,
ridiculous caffeine. This is not an overload of caffeine. There's a couple of nootropics that get your brain right without the caffeine, which is cool. And you're sweating in the gym, but the pump is insane. So guys, check out Phil Heath Labs, and then we're going to talk final thoughts.
All right. So we've reached a portion of our show that we like to call final thoughts. And our final thoughts today, because it is the summertime, a lot of patients that I've been seeing, and I know this kind of hit home for you too, flip-flops, sandals. We've got a lot of folks who come in with foot pain, and we see the shoes that they're wearing, and they're not shoes, they're flip-flops. And when you start asking them how often they're wearing them all the time in the summer. And so what happens is, the feet go through different stresses, and it's nice. It is the season to set your feet free, but wearing flip-flops and sandals 24/7 can be just as detrimental as wearing high heels. I know guys aren't wearing high heels, but
not too frequently.
No,
not too frequently.
But let's go through some stats here, just some fun facts. But given that your feet have more nerve endings per square centimeter than any other complex in your body, and that your feet and ankle are one of the most complex structures, including 26 bones, 33 joints, and upwards of 120 tendons, muscles, and ligaments, not to mention they're your vehicle in life. If you don't take care of them, it can wind up causing pain both in the short and long term. And the lack of arch support can strain knees, calves, and cause spinal stress over time, particularly if you have to claw down, which you kind of have to do when you're wearing sandals to keep your sandals on your feet. So when choosing footwear, it's all about moderation and wearing the right shoe for the job. Flat sandals and flip-flops are fine for walking on the beach and in the garden and around the house, but they're not ideal for long walks or wearing every day due to the lack of support provided.
Yeah, so a big part of them is many of them are straight up flat. They have literally zero support. That leads to an overpronation. Now, pronation of the foot is actually very important. Okay, so that's part of your shock absorber. In fact, that's your first shock absorption of your entire body through your normal gait is the pronation of the foot. So you need some pronation. It's not that you don't want any, but you need to provide enough support to those delicate bones and structures in the feet because they're bearing a lot of weight. I'm 220 right now. So every time I step down and I move through what's called the swing phase on my left foot, my right foot is bearing the entire weight of 220 pounds on that. And we're talking, I got a size 11 foot. It's not that much space to be holding up 220 pounds. I mean, we wouldn't really ask that too frequently of our hand. You don't see a lot of people doing 220 pound dumbbells. I know some people do, but most people are not doing 220 pound dumbbells and asking their hand to support that. But we ask that of our feet all the time. So with those super flat flip-flops, they suck. They don't provide any level of support and they lead to an overpronation. And then we're going to start tipping that foot complex, that foot ankle complex. We're going to be overloading the medial side of that, which is the middle side, the inside of the foot. We're asking then the plantar fascia, which is just the connective tissue band on the bottom of the foot, to then hold us up. Ain't gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen. So then we end up with plantar fasciitis. And that, if anybody has experienced that out there, and we'll get to plantar fasciitis on some tips later at a different episode, but if you've experienced that, again, it sucks. It's horrible.
It hurts. So some of the things that we can, obviously in office, we love working on extremities, and on those same folks who come in with, wearing the sandals 24/7 through the summer, their feet always need worked on, their toes, and sometimes even a little bit of TLC to the bottom of the foot, the plantar fascia. And then I always try to suggest using a tennis ball, lacrosse ball, maybe even like a a dryer ball, one that has like some tactile feel, daily for a couple minutes just to soften the plantar fascia. And then obviously you got to work on the intrinsic foot muscles too, just to keep them stronger. Because if, like you said, if the shoe isn't going to provide support, now you're asking the foot to hold 220 or whatever the person weighs, and that's just walking. We're not even talking about someone who's running or doing anything active. So take care of the feet, and the rest of the body will feel better.
Yeah, and whether, like you said, it can definitely lead up to knee pain, hip pain, low back pain, because as we work up, if that foot's not going to absorb the pressure, I know we talked about this in our Achilles discussion, but if that foot's not going to absorb the shock, then it's going to move right up, and then the knee is going to have to absorb it, and then the hip, and then the low back. So basically, guys, get in athletic shoes. If you got to walk around, put some athletic shoes on. If you have to wear sandals, all right, and you're really finding that that's got to be frequent, a heel strap does help, because it helps to normalize the gait. And certain sandals that are out there, I'm not going to endorse any specific name brands or anything like that, but there are several that have a decent amount of arch support. That does help. That definitely helps. And then if it doesn't have the back strap, then what it can have is the front part, the top strap, if you will, and I'm sure there's a name to it. I don't really know what it's called, but the further back on the foot that goes,
closer to the ankle.
Correct. Yeah. Then the better you're going to be, because it's just going to kind of hold it and mold it to the foot just a little bit better. But
you see some of the more like Nikes, the Adidases, those ones have what you're talking about.
Correct.
But the one that just kind of splits the big toe from the other four, those ones kind of they're just hard to keep on your foot.
Generally, they don't. Over flexing those toes.
And Birkenstocks, sorry to throw them under the bus. Now they made a rubber one, which I think moves a lot easier, but the cork, whatever they make there, I have so many folks that have the pain of the foot, and I look over and they're rocking the Birkenstocks. So I guess they made a comeback, but not in a good way. Sorry, guys.
All right. So guys, I think that's it for this week. Again, thanks to Robert Sykes for coming on. We very much appreciate that. We've got an episode next week. We're going to be doing a little bit remote, like we're going to be kind of different places. So it'll probably be a little shorter episode next week, but we're not going to probably have a guest next week, but we're going to be talking about a couple things. We're not going to leave you guys hanging. We won't skip out. So we will definitely see you next week. In the meantime, follow us on all of our social media stuff. Keep listening to the podcast. Check us out on YouTube. Hit subscribe if you don't mind. That helps us out to know that we're getting the watchers and stuff. So, and keep it coming with suggestions, questions. I mean, we're loving this feedback. We've had some phenomenal feedback from our past few guests, and we're going to keep it coming for you guys. So
yeah, thanks again, guys. Hope you have a great weekend. See ya.